Hello, I'm Jeremy, and we are going to talk about clowns yet again today. And it's because it's just all over the place, all the time. Man, Senator Cotton talking to that uh, nominee position for the assistant attorney general or whatever that was. It was like, what do you mean you don't know? Now, here is Dr. Steve Turley, somebody who I watched that for the most part, I agree with a lot of what he says, and he has just knocked it out of the park with what's going on with immigration. I've got a link in the description below so you can take a look at the video in all its glory, all by itself. But before we get into it, it would help me out a lot if you would give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And later in time, whenever I've earned your trust and we've built up a relationship between the two of us so that you know I'm not some kind of a joke, then subscribe to my Patreon or Subscribe Star, so then that way I can start earning more money so I can hire people for those first. Four of those people will be people who will do content creation and then building the website, yada yada, but that's later. So anyways, it's ridiculous. He just knocked it out of the park. He's talking about how ridiculous it is that we will allow these people to come in and cross the border from Mexico, but you come in from JFK, you don't have your stuff together, we will send you back. Canada and all these other places, they have locked down borders over there in Europe too because of fears of COVID, and yet we're going to let these people through, and it's all crap, every last bit of it. Because the problem is, why are they leaving their homes in the first place? And he comes across a report where, or no, an article where the Mexican president is like, put a stop to this because children are being smuggled across the border for all kinds of reasons, for child exploitation, or because they're using them to smuggle drugs because people treat children differently. It's not their parents they're with. Maybe a handful of them, but most of them are drug cartels. It's like, why? You know nothing is going good if they're going across on the river instead of an official checkpoint right there. It's like, what are you talking about? It's just virtue signaling nonsense, I guess, because no one else is doing stuff like this. It's just, it upsets me. There are plenty of things that we could do to be helping with the root cause instead of just glossing over this. It's not sending them money. Money's not magic. It doesn't come out of a unicorn flying through the air, farting out glitter and money at the same time. And then whenever you get it, there's no magic that happens because you cross some place in the sand, in the dirt. Just because they crossed the Rio Grande River, that doesn't mean, oh, well, now we've entered America and everything is great. You know what? The president is not my God. The laws are not my Bible, and America is not heaven at all. I don't understand this mentality for 1 second. You know what? If you really want to help somebody, you have to help them, and only if they want to be helped. Because if they don't want to be helped, you're just spitting into the wind. It's going to knock you out. It's just because it's not going to come back lightly. It's going to come back with force. It's just like these people that they want to send food over there to Africa. It's like, no, that's wrong. What you do is that you give them the proper equipment and training so that they can grow their own food. It's like the ancient Chinese proverb goes, is that you can give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day, or you can teach them how to fish and they can feed themselves for a lifetime. And that's not a Christian thing, because if so, tell me what verse it is and what chapter it is in the Bible, because it's not there. It's just they make that connection because Christ was a fisherman. So, but no, it's a Chinese proverb. And it's the same thing with all this other stuff. Whenever you see a homeless person out there on the street, that is not one problem. That's 50 major problems going on. One of them, not having money, it's not up there. It's like going to be in the 40s somewhere. It's still there, but it's not one of the major ones. It's problems with alcoholism, with their education, with their spouses, with their children, with their drug addiction, alcoholism, a whole litany of things that money, you can give them all the money in the world. It's not going to do anything. In fact, if you do give them enough money, that's a great way to kill somebody, because now you're giving them the means to overdose. And that this has been going on long enough that we've been able to see this. So another thing is that whenever people get a hold of an inheritance, or if they win the lottery, whenever they just get large sums of money, they lose it within a year. And we know this really clear because we've had the lottery going on forever, and then they come back and they check up on these people, and it's like they are right back where they were before. They're still working the same job, and it's because you just can't give people money and then all their problems go away. It doesn't increase their education, their IQ, any of this stuff. And the same thing with all these people here. You know what they're doing? They're coming into a fantasy land that does not exist. Just because they crossed over, their IQ hasn't gone up. It doesn't mean that they're magically going to be able to speak English. It doesn't mean that they have any kind of good job skills that are going to be able to be applied over here. It means absolutely nothing. You know what? If you want to help these people, which would be fantastic, is that we need to make information free and available for everyone. And that's part of what my website's going to do, that I want to offer it to as wide a market as possible so that everyone can have the most up-to-date information possible. And it's for everyone everywhere. I need everyone's help with this because I can't handle all that stuff. But I'm tired of this. There was some good news that he talked about it, though, and that was that whenever these immigrants settle on in and they intermarry and they take on kind of the dominant traits, characteristics, and it's like, that's good, as long as their values are really that of the American values, which I firmly believe in, and that is we're supposed to be a land of the free. That we are supposed to be free to make our own choices, good or bad or whatever. And it's because we do not know if there's a heaven or hell, that if atheists have it right, or Muslims or Christians or Jews or Hindus or Buddhists or whatever, it doesn't matter. We don't know who's right. People do not die and come back. But somebody's got it right, you know, whether if it's the atheists, the non-believers, or the believers, somebody has it right. We have all of it covered. And whoever that is, I don't want to hinder on them, but I don't want to be hindered on either. We're just doing our best guess. It's what it really is. We're all just guessing, and we're doing the best that we can. And most people have reasons for it, and then leave them alone. You know what? Right now, there are Christians doing what they're going to do. So what? You're fine. There are atheists out there doing whatever. So what? You're fine. Same thing with Muslims and Hindus and all this. Now, yeah, there are some zealots, and you can name them, and it's like, yeah, and that's bad. But you know what? You can't just go around and say, well, if we just transplant somebody here or there, then that's just going to make it all go away. It's like, no, it's everything's more complicated than all this nonsense that they do in the government with politics. And you know, those people too who are overseas and they want to get angry at America. It's like, no, you don't understand. I don't know. I have no power at all with the government and what they're doing. As with most people, it's like the corruption and the stupidity that goes on. At least I think that they're kind of wising up a little bit, because they're not as quick to go to war, because more of it is that I think there's been a strong tie with politics and wealth creation. And I think that they're seeing that there's more to be gained from the internet than kind of the old traditional ways, because warfare has gone down. I mean, a little bit, they're looking now more towards creating wealth through making people dependent upon the system instead of developing themselves. And you see this, you know, it's like, if you think that black people can't do things because they're black, it's like, you're ridiculous. There are incredibly smart, capable black people, and they're all over the place. It's like, no, it's because the systems that we have are dated and stupid and backwards. It's clown world. But I like it. I like it whenever I come across somebody who has my own mindset. You know, it's not diversity is a strength. Diversity is a weakness. It's real easy to understand. If you have two people, for example, and person number one, say they're in shape, they're a Republican, they're a Christian, they want to get married, they have a 4-year degree or their PhD, whatever, and then person number two, they're the opposite. They're a Democrat, they're an atheist, they live at home, they're fat, they're living in the basement, they didn't even graduate high school, they don't want children. These two people have no business getting together, especially if they're like marriage. You know, they're going to fight over everything. Hey, it's Sunday, let's go to church. No, I'm going to watch the game downstairs. You know, we're going to have some wings. It's like, no, we're going and we're going to socialize with everyone. And then we're going to fix up that spare room and get ready for the kids. It's like, no, we're not going to have kids. We're going to make that into a man cave or a game room or something like that. And that's what we're going to do. It's not that one is right or one that's wrong. The right or wrong is that they're wrong for each other. It's better whenever they're both the same. And so if you have both of them that are in this group, number one, it's like, hey, it's Sunday, let's go to church. It's like, yeah, I really enjoyed the service. Yeah, and the Smiths are really nice. Oh, I like their kids. You know, we should be fixing up that spare room. I was thinking the same thing. Or over here, you know, it's like, man, the week was long. I'm just fed up with everything. I heard they got this new movie coming out. Oh, yeah, well, you know what? I was thinking about having pizza, you know, and just turning the lights off, not doing anything. That sounds great. You know, it's like one isn't right or wrong. It's just that the two over here, they don't belong together. You know, they need to leave each other alone. And they need to find someone else who's like them. And it's the same thing with your neighbors. So picture yourself. Picture if you were surrounded by people who were like you as your neighbors. How much easier would it be to be able to go outside and mingle with others? So, for example, I'm single. I would love it if I was surrounded by a bunch of single females. That would be great and fantastic. I would like that. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I would definitely be happier with a bunch of single ladies around me. Of course, you know, if you're single, wouldn't you like that? Or when you were single, wouldn't you have liked that? It's like, yes, and especially, what if they were into the same things that you were? So the more diverse it is, and they have this, I forget what it's called, Pareto's principle or the Gini coefficient or whatever, but it's a thing that the more diversity you have, the unhappier that they are. And that's why the Scandinavian countries are usually, and I don't know about recently with all the stupid stuff that's going on, they've always reported as being extremely happy, and it's because they're all the same for the most part. And this is why you want customs and traditions and culture in a place, because you want to bring people together, because the more people do things that are the same, the easier it is to get things done. And I'm talking about this right now with Practical Focused Improvement. It's another channel that I have on YouTube, and I'm going over Jordan Peterson's book, and he talks about this a lot. You know, and I give the example of being able to drive on the road surrounded by complete strangers. You have a lot of confidence whenever everybody's doing the same thing. And whenever they do something that's out of whack, you're like, oh, yeah, it puts you on edge. It's like, what are you doing? So, and it's like that with everything, whether if you're just out shopping, even whenever you're meeting people out on the street who are just kind of random people, the more outlandish they are, the more you kind of look at them like, what? And the more professional the setting too. It's like whenever you're going to the hospital, you expect people to act like and to look like doctors and nurses and medical staff. You don't expect to see a bunch of prisoners and people who are all tattooed up and they haven't taken a bath for like a month and their clothes are all torn. You would turn around and walk out. Because if it was someone who was important to you, you would not go near them at all. And rightfully so. It's like you don't even have your personal life together because you can't even figure out a routine to get yourself up and going in the morning. You look like trash right now. I'm not going to let you operate on my family member or friend or whoever. We're going to go somewhere else. So watch the video. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a subscription. Get engaged in, well, I guess I don't have quite enough viewers for any of that just yet. But thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.